previous class we talked about iterations, objects, and classes at a very high level, right? So in today's class, let us talk about built-in modules and functions. Okay, so guys, can anybody say like what do you mean by a module?
Sir, which contains specific functions.
Which contains functions, correct? Any other interpretation?
Functions are divided into small parts called module.
Functions are divided, no, it is programs. Programs are divided into small parts called
Yes,
modules.
programs are.
Yeah. So these programs or files contains multiple functions, right? So modules may contain functions, they may contain classes and other properties, right? So essentially module is a unit which contains classes, variables or properties and functions. Okay, and these modules, right, has got so many different functions that you can make use of in your program, right, depending upon the program asked or depending upon the problem asked. Okay. Now, in order to see or explore what kind of modules are available in Python or what modules are available in the standard Python when you download and install in your system, right? We have got three approaches that we can use to refer to the different modules that are available and the different functions available within each, right? The first one is you can go online directly to the documentation page as shown here, right? docs.python.org/3 pymodindex.html, which will give out all the modules that are available and that you can make use of, right? So let me share that particular URL as well so that we can have a look at it. Yeah, as you can see here, this particular URL, right, contains the Python module index, right? All these are different modules, right, that are available that you can explore when needed, right? For example, probably would have used a module called as math, right? So let us see if math is available in this particular documentation, right? And what are the different functions that are available in math? So you can see M. So under M, you can see there is something called as mathematical functions, right? So this is one module, right? And the documentation for this module is available here. It has got a number of functions that you can see, right? Like factorial, copy sign. See factorial, there is a inbuilt function called as factorial as well, right? Floor, fmod, there are so many. Okay, so this is the online method, right? Wherein you can go into the documentation page of the Python URL and look into the different functions.
Are there any specific functions we need to know for our exams and stuff?
For your exams and stuff, you probably need to know the functions as you.
What?
There is some noise. Yeah.
What's it?
Exam point of view, depending upon the program asked, if you feel like you know an all available module is already available that I can make use of, you can make use of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So if there is any particular question that says that please do not make use of a module, you are not supposed to make use of it. Say for example, you may get a question like find the factorial of a number without using a module factorial or function factorial available inside math, right? Or find the GCD of two numbers without using GCD function that is available inside math, something like that.
Is there any question that requires us to use a module?
No, it depends upon the question. If the question is like straightforward, which doesn't say anything, you can make use of a module.
So it's just an option, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one way, right? The other way is depending upon the IDE that you are making use of, right? You can make use of the help support that is available within the IDE to explore the different functions that are available within a particular module. For example, if you are using Visual Studio Code or some other environment, right? You can make use of that particular IDE, right? To explore the different functions. For example, function called as test.py, right? And say if I want to import a module called as math, right? And I want to know like what are the different functions that are available, right? I just want to look into it before I actually make use of that particular function within the program. So I can probably say math and then put a dot, and you can see the different functions that are available: power, product, radians, remainder, etc. Right? So this is another way. Okay. So first one is through the online documentation. Second one is you can make use of your IDE, right? And the third one is through REPL, right? Through REPL also you can have a lot of support, right? Or you can make use of the REPL's built-in help feature, right? To understand the different modules and functions that are available, right? So let us look how to do that. So first what you do is you go into your REPL command or REPL prompt by typing Python 3 or Python, right, and hitting enter. What you get is a REPL prompt. So from here you can type help, right? So essentially it is help opening parenthesis closing parenthesis, right? From here you can look into the different modules that are available and supported in your system, right? So for that you can type modules, right? So as you can see here, you can type modules, keywords, symbols, or topics, right? Let us see all, right? So let us start with modules. It will list out all the different modules that are available, right? And if you see here, there are so many different modules, right? And math is also here. So what you can do here is you can just type math, right? And it lists out the different functions, right? All the different functions are available here in this particular mode as well, right? Then you can do a Q to come out. And then apart from modules, right? And using the help function in this particular manner, say for example, you know that there is a function already called as say power, right, inside math, right, and just want to look into that particular documentation directly, right, you can say math dot power, right, it's a function. Okay, you need to go into help and then say math dot power, right? So it says math dot power is equal to the syntax and the documentation for that, right? It returns x power y, x to the power of y. All right. So this is another way. To quit out of help, you can just type Q, right? It will come to your normal REPL prompt. All right. Now, apart from modules, you can also say, okay, you need to go into help again. You can say keywords. So these are the list of keywords in Python. All right. So apart from keywords, you can also look for, say, topics to look into the different topics and the documentation about that, right? So as you can see here you have got topic-wise explanation, right? Say for example, if I say float, right? It gives me some documentation regarding the floating point literals, right? Okay guys, so that is a brief overview of the built-in functions and modules in Python. Any doubts in this topic?
No, sir.
Sir, I have doubts, sir.
Yes, please.
What's the difference between methods and functions? Not related to classes. In general, we have something called def in Python, use declare user-defined function, and we have something called methods like sort, capitalize. What is the difference between these two?
No, both are same only. When you say not do not say anything about classes. In fact, when you say or write a particular function, in fact, you are writing a method. So a method is nothing but a function defined within a class. When you say define a particular function, and if you don't specify that particular function within a particular class name, that you generally or literally call it as a function. When you have a particular program and if you don't create a class, right, and if you just create a function, right, you call it as a function and not as a method.
Okay, sir. Yeah, understood.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else, guys? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go on to the next topic. Okay, in our previous session, right, we understood or we started with data types, right, and we talked about duck typing, strongly typed languages, right, dynamic typing. We talked about integers and floats, right. We talked about precision, accuracy, right. Okay, today let us continue our discussion in this particular aspects for data types and take our next type, which is strings. All right. So again, let me help you understand this particular part through an example. So strings in Python, right, is of type str. So everything or all our objects in Python. So strings in Python is of type str. So the built-in class name is called as str, which represents the string class. Okay. So in order to represent a string in Python, you can either make use of a single quote or a double quote. So if I say x is equal to hello, and then if I say print x, and let me have another print, which in or to print the type of x, this will give me what do you think the output will be here, guys?
Hello, string.
Hello, class str.
Yeah, hello and class str. Great, right? Now, apart from single quote, you can also make use of a double quote. Both are okay. Now, apart from single quote and double quote, right, you can have a single quote within a double quote and vice versa. That is also possible, right? So in this case, I have a double quote, right? So here, if I say, what's your name, right? And I have a single quote here, so that is okay. So what's your name, right? So this is fine, right? Similarly, I can have a single quote, right? And say, if I want to have a single quote within a single quote, that is like error, right? No, this is not allowed. Okay, it says invalid syntax. Okay, now if you want it within single quote, right, you can do a escape. You can escape this with a forward slash. So this is okay. All right. Similarly, you can have a double quote, and within a double quote, you can have a single quote. That is also okay. So single quote can be used within double quote and vice versa. All right. Now, apart from single quotes and double quotes, you can also make use of triple quotes. Triple single quotes or triple double quotes. This is for string spanning multiple lines, right? Now what you can do here is, say, if you put it in different or multiple lines, right, you will get those spaces, right? And you can have strings in different lines, right? Now if I run this, Okay, it's not a single quote, it's a triple quote. All right. Now the same thing, you can also make use of a triple double quotes. It's also okay. Fine. So far, so good. Clear, all of you? How to represent string?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let me go back and have a string hello, right? Apart from single quote, double quote, and nesting single quote and double quote, and having triple quotes, right? You can also make use of the methods inside the string class, right? For example, upper, lower, capitalize, etc., right? So let us see that as well. Say for example, now see this, guys. Now this hello is a string literal, right? This is an object, right, of type str, right? And hence you can invoke methods on this, right? So if you put a dot, right, you can see all the different methods that are available and that you can make use of, right? For example, say if I say hello dot upper, right, this will give me the uppercase of hello, right? Similarly, lower, right? So this is already in lowercase. So if I put it in uppercase, this is giving me in lowercase. Okay. And there is capitalize, right? Now, what do you think capitalize method does, guys?
The only H will be
Capital.
Yeah, only the
First
first
letter
letter.
is capital.
Yeah, H is going to be capital here. All right. Okay. So apart from making use of the methods that are available in strings, we will understand more methods in string later when we talk about strings in detail in another unit, right? I would like to show you another thing or another method in a string class which is called as format, right? So you can make use of format here, or let me, for a change, right? Let me make use of format here. I can say x dot format, right? And then I can have this. Okay, so this is the idea of using the format method in a string, right? When you use the format method of string, right, what you do is within the string literal that you put or that you want to type, right, you specify placeholder, right? Now this is called as a placeholder, right? And what this placeholder does is, right, during runtime, this particular place or space will be occupied with the value that you pass in as the argument to the format method, right? So that is the purpose of format method, right? Now when you run this, it says hello again. Okay, it's the same thing. So you can make use of the format method, right? Now, say for example, if I have another method, say hello world, right? And if I put this, right, I need to put the other variable which will go or whose value will go into this particular placeholder. So the value of x will go into this particular placeholder, value of y will go into this particular placeholder, right? So format methods or format method make use of what is called as positional arguments, right? So these are positional, right? Although here you don't specify any particular positional numbers, by default it starts from 0. So if you now run this program, it says hello world, right? So that's the default. If you explicitly say, as I said, they are called as positional arguments, we can explicitly say this as position 0 and position 1, right? So again, if you run this program, the output is the same, right? Now if you change the position, right, 1 and 0, right, for x and y, it will be reversed. So what will be the output?
World hello.
World.
Hello.
Okay. Now this is making use of the format method. Now with the format method, apart from this, right, positional arguments, along with the positional arguments, you can also specify format specifiers, right? So for example, you can put a colon, right, and you can say either left or right arrow, right, and then specify some number. Say for example, say hello is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 character wide, right? And if I want hello to be maximum, say 6 character wide, right? And say world to be maximum 6 character wide, right? So this is spaces on the right hand side, right? If you put, you can play with this, right? If you put left, spaces to the left, right? So if I put right, if I do this, right, you can see some spaces here and some spaces here. Okay, now for example, if you want to have some leading zeros, right, what you can do here is you can put a 0 here. To actually understand this better, let me put a leading 0. So if you put a leading 0 and run this program, right, you can see here 0, right, and world 0 and hello. So the total width is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including 0, 6. Similarly here 6, right? If I do a, or if you do a left shift, right, see here it is this way. Okay, so accordingly, right, depending upon the need, you can make use of these format specifiers and do right shift or left shift and have leading zeros depending upon the question asked. All right. And one more thing, like even here, right, you can have double quotes or single quotes, right? So I have the outer string in single quote, right? So I can have a double quote within this placeholder, right? So that I get world and hello within double quotes, right? Now let me probably say this as one and 0 so that you get hello world. Okay, guys.
Okay,
So you can play, yeah. So you can play with this, right? So that is about the format thing, right? So format method makes use of positional arguments, and then you can also have format specifiers, right? You can do left and right adjustments, right? And also you can have leading zeros. Now there is also another thing which is new in Python 3. In fact, it starts with Python version 3.6 and greater, right? Which is called as the f-string. F-string is also the same as this particular technique, right? Say for example, the same thing. What you can do here is you can do this, and you can do a f here, right? So these are called as f strings, right? Now you don't put a dot format, right? But you just put what is called as f, right? So this means that this entire string is called as an f string. F string behind the scenes, right? It makes use of the dot format method. F string makes use of the dot format method to work behind the scenes, right? In order to give you the appropriate output, right? If I run this program, I get the same thing, right? But I don't say hello and world. Why?
You didn't specify the x inside the curly brackets.
You did not specify x and y here, right? So unlike the dot format method, which explicitly says or makes use of the positional arguments, right? F string does not make use of positional arguments. Rather, it makes use of you can specify any direct values, right, or the variable names. You can have some value, the value will be directly printed, right, or you can specify the variable names. To get hello world. All right, so these are called as F strings. All right, guys, understood? Any doubts so far?
Sir, in F strings, there should be in curly braces, sir.
F strings, you just put an F before your string.
No, sir, that you type X colon and 6. Okay, sir. In curly braces only. Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah, you need to have the placeholder, right? You just specify the placeholder, and if you want, you can have the format specifiers within the placeholder.
Okay, sir.
It is just like the format method only, right? But you don't specify dot format. But F strings makes use of the format method to do its work.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, could you repeat which symbol corresponds to which shift, sir? Greater than, lesser than?
Greater than is for right shifting or for right. Rather than saying right shift, see, right shift is a separate bitwise operator that we'll learn later, right? If you just put a right one greater than symbol, it is for right shifting by say 10. So the total width is going to be 10. So this number specifies the total character width, and the shift will happen to the right. Right. So let me show you. So hello is 5 characters. If I put a leading 0 here, right, and if I print it again, right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Total is 10. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other doubts, guys?
Sir, what circumstances do you use F string versus normal string?
What circumstance you use F string versus normal string? Oh,
Yes.
I did not really understand your question. Like, there is a difference between a normal string and an F string. The normal string is
When do you use F? For what sort of applications?
no, you use a F string if you want to print out a particular string literal, and within the string literal, if you want to print out some values of some variables, if you want.
So you want to like make a statement, put a variable in between, and then
Yeah, something like this. Say, for example, say XS and YS, right? You can put Y here directly. You can put,
okay, I understand.
got it?
So putting a variable in between a string statement, right?
Correct.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
sir. Understood.
Anything else before we proceed? Hope things are all clear. Now, Booleans. What are Booleans, guys?
True or false variables can only take 2 values.
Sorry. Yeah. Boolean can take only two values, true or
True or
false.
false.
Correct. It is used for logical expressions and tests. All right. So what I can do here is, if I say x is equal to say 5 greater than 7, right? So what do you think the value of x is?
0.
False.
True. No, false. False.
Yeah, it gives you the value false, right? And you can make use of this in logical tests. So you have a logical expression here and you can make use of this in logical tests, right? What is the output here, guys?
Hello, sir. No, world.
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 World. Sir.
Yeah, it's world. Yeah. Okay. Now, if I say this, what is the output?
Hello.
Hello.
Right? If I say this, what is the output?
World.
Pardon?
World, sir.
World.
Hello.
It's not hello, it's world. Okay. So, see, 0 is always false, right? Any other integers, they are true. If you put a negative number, what do you think is the output?
Hello.
It still says hello. So, only exception is 0. If I do a true here, what do you think is the output?
World.
World, sir.
Okay, is it?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
So why did you think that that was world? You are explicitly saying true, right? So it is going to be hello. This is going to be executed. All right. Now, say for example, let me have a literal. Say hello. What do you think is the output here?
Hello.
Everyone agree with that? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you get a hello, right? Now if I put a H, what do you think is the output?
Hello.
Okay. Now what do you think is the output here?
World.
World.
You get world, right? So null character or nothing within a particular string is essentially false, right? All other strings are true, right? Now also there is something called as, well, let us understand that there is a keyword called as none, which we have seen in the previous class. Remember, there is something called as none, which represents the absence of any value, right? And if I print and comment this out, what is the output, guys?
None.
It's none. Okay. So absence of value is indicated by none. Why I am telling you here? Because apart from all these possibilities, we can also have a none here. If I say explicitly if none, right? What do you think is the output?
World.
Okay. So you can see world, right? So none is also false, right? So please remember these things when you make use of logical expressions, right? On logical tests, right? So as we have seen, right? Bool, see, and the type is bool. The type is bool. Okay.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, I wasn't able to understand one part of the program.
Okay.
The actually when if true, why doesn't it print hello? Instead it prints world. No, it prints hello, but it doesn't print world. Why is that, sir? Because
That is
5 is greater than 7. It doesn't satisfy, right? Like it's not true.
no. You are not saying if x, right? If you say if x, that is okay. If x means you are testing for this particular condition. This particular condition
Okay.
is false. That is
Oh,
being
okay, sir.
tested here. So this particular condition becomes false and world is printed. Now,
Okay.
if you say true, you are explicitly saying that I am checking for the true value.
So the x doesn't matter here. Like if you explicitly say that it's true,
No, you're
the x above
yeah. When you're not using x, that means that x doesn't matter here. So this is for your understanding for the different possibilities that you can make use of in a logical test.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
if you do a false, what will be the output?
World.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys. Any doubts so far? So just remember, a bool value is either true or false, right? All non-zero numbers and non-empty strings are true, and false, zero, absence of value through none, right? And the empty literal string, right, are all false. Clear, all of you? Okay, assuming it is clear, next is list.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
So none and false are same, like in program.
No, none is a keyword that represents an absence of value, and if this particular keyword none is used in a logical test, it will evaluate to false.
Okay.
Okay.
Clear.
Yeah. And guys, can you just recall and tell me what is the type of none?
Bool.
Class.
Yeah,
None
what is
type.
none type? Correct. The type of none is none type. Okay. Our next understanding in type is list, tuple, dictionary, and range. Right. Let us start with list. Okay. So guys, what do you mean by a list? Some of you have used list in your programs earlier.
It's like an array, right, sir? One dimensional array. Sorry, two-dimensional array.
It is an array, okay, one dimensional or two dimensional. Okay, it is essentially an array, irrespective of the dimensions that you specify. But what is then the difference between array in C, right, and list in Python?
Sir, are you able to hear me?
I am able to hear you, but your voice is so feeble.
Sir, in C, all of the elements in array should be of the same data type, whereas it need not be in Python list.
Correct. That is one very correct difference. In C, when you make use of arrays, right, it is homogeneous, right? They are of the same type, right? Whereas in a list, you can have either homogeneous or heterogeneous items or elements, right? The types could be anything, literally anything. You can have any kind of type, right, within a list. Okay, that is one correct difference between an array and a list. Anything else?
Arrays are static in C but dynamic in Python. I mean lists are dynamic in Python.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
That is, the number of items you can store in an array is fixed, whereas in a list it's not fixed.
Okay. So what can you infer from that particular statement? If the number of items in C arrays are fixed and if they are not fixed in lists, right? What does it infer? You are close to your answer.
We can append values in lists, but not in arrays.
Yeah. So coming to the second point, right? When you say
like arrays are fixed size, but list we can add on.
yeah, when you say lists, they are dynamic. That essentially means, right? In a list, you can either grow or shrink. Lists can either be grown or shrinked dynamically. Okay, so items could be removed, items could be added, right? Dynamically at runtime. Okay, so that is the advantage of using lists in Python. Okay, so to understand lists better in Python, right? Let us see an example. Let me have a list called as X, right? And lists are represented using this notation, right? And your items go within this. Okay, so I can have say 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is a homogeneous list. All are integers, right? Now to print the items within the list, I can make use of a for loop, right? Now you can have the understanding of the for loop that we have seen earlier in yesterday's class better, right? So when I say for I n, right? Now what you specify here after n is a sequence, right? Now list is a sequence or a collection, right? So a sequence or collection is specified here in the for loop, right? So what I say here is for I in X. That means for all the items inside this particular container or a sequence container, right, called as X. Do this, right? So do what? Let us print all the elements within this particular sequence, right? The print X. Okay, now why is it happening 4 times? Because you are printing X. If you want to print just
4 elements.
yeah, all
in
the
X.
elements you are printing 4 times. If you print each of the element in each iteration, what can you do?
Sir, it should be print I, right, sir? Because I takes the value.
Okay, but I am printing X, I am getting this. There is no specific question. I am not asking you any question that you can do anything here, okay, with respect to each item. And if you are doing print X, I did this intentionally. To do a print X, you are getting the entire sequence 4 times, okay. Now coming to your particular point, if you want to print the items, you can specify print I. That will print each of the items in the list. So what essentially happens here is, right, each item will be saved inside this particular variable I during each iteration. So first time I will be equal to 1, second time I equal to 2, third time I equal to 3, and fourth time I equal to 4. Okay, so that is your first thing. This is what a list is, right? And this is how you represent a particular list. And as I said, lists can be either homogeneous or heterogeneous. So I can have a heterogeneous list also. So this is the list which contains integer, a string, right, a Boolean value and a float value, right? So I am having heterogeneous items, right? You have all this. And it is zero based indexing, right? So list indexing is zero based. It always starts at 0.
0.
Okay. To illustrate that, right, what you can do is, say for I comma k, you can have another variable, and you can have or call another function called as enumerate. And do this, right? And then you can print I comma k. Right? So essentially these two variables, this is the key and this is the value, right? To understand the index position, we are using this enumerate. As you can see, it starts at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now, another thing is lists are mutable. Lists are essentially dynamic arrays, right, which can have either homogeneous and or heterogeneous items, and they are mutable in nature. What do you mean by mutability, guys?
Changeability.
Changeability, correct. So that means, right, items within the list can be changed, right? So for example, you want to change the first item within this list to a string, say, called as world. What do? What you can do here is you can make use of the notation this, right? So this way, right, within the bracket, you specify the position. So as I've said, the position in lists, they start with 0. So the first item is x of 0. You call it as x of 0, right? What you are doing here is you are reassigning the value of the first item, which is 1, right, to world, right? So I can say world here, right? Now if I print it, see here your first item is world now. It was initialized with 1, now we have changed it to world. So lists are mutable. Okay guys, so far so good.
Yes, sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what does enumerate do, sir?
See, enumerate is a particular function that gives you the enumerated value of a particular list. When you say enumerated value of a particular list, it gives you the index position along with the values.
Oh, okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, as we have seen in the previous example, you get the index position also, which was referred using another variable I comma k.
Yes, sir.
I is your key value and k is your, say I is your key value and k is your value.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Key value pair kind of, which we'll see again in dictionary.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir, one more
I
thing,
got
sir.
it. Thank you, sir.
So here we didn't even define I, sir. So what does the system take it? How does
No,
Python?
here you have I, right? You are saying for I in.
Yes, sir. So what's the value of I then? Like, how does
First time the value of I is going to be the first item in this particular sequence. So what is the first item in this particular sequence?
1?
No, it has been changed to world, right?
Okay.
So the first item for I is world. So world is printed. Next.
Then it will go again in check an I and.
Yeah, next it will, in the next second iteration, it will assign the value of 2 to I and it will print 2.
Yes, sir, but we didn't even increment I, so how will it go past?
No, that's what you did not increment I. So for in syntax works that way. It automatically does that for you.
Oh, okay.
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 Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir?
Okay, let him go.
Sir, to enumerate, you typed 2 I and K, no, sir?
Yeah.
So without involving K, can we type like for I in enumerate X? Then will we get the serial number, sir? 0, 1, 2, like that?
You will get only the key value. Right. If you do, you are saying something like this, right?
You
Yes,
get a
sir.
tuple, sir.
Pardon?
Get a tuple, I think, with the values and keys, I guess.
You get a tuple. So what do you mean by tuple?
Tuple,
Return-
tuple.
Tuple or tuple, anything is
I
okay.
think
The
it's tuple, sir.
return type is okay, tuple, right? So you get both the index position and the values, but you have a different kind of representation, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So either way, depending upon the output that you want to print, you can either print it this way or you can have in the other way.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir,
Yes.
so when we give print I, we get the value of x instead of the index number. Is it so? Why is it the way Python works? Like you can see if you type print I, you will get the index position only, no, sir. You get my question?
No, here what you are doing is you are printing the value of I only. If you want the index position, if you explicitly say it as say of 0, right? So this time world is going to be printed for all the times. So this is the index position. Okay. It says object is not subscriptable. Okay, even that is not possible. You cannot do that. So I of 0 you cannot do because I is a single item, right? The
Sir,
value
if
of
you
I,
want to, sir, you
it
can.
says object is not subscriptable because, right, I during each iteration it has got only one value. So you cannot have a subscript. So that is not possible. So what you are doing here is you are essentially printing the value of I, not the index position.
So by default, what happens is in the first loop, the first value of x gets stored into y, and the second iteration, second value of x gets stored into y. Is it works that way, sir?
Correct, exactly. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right, guys. So let us just check if we have covered all the points. So they are mutable sequence. Lists make use of zero-based indexing, and items can be homogeneous and/or heterogeneous. Our next sequence is tuple or tuple, right? So tuple is similar to list, except that tuples are, any guess?
Not
Immutable.
mutable.
Correct. They are immutable, or you cannot modify the items within a tuple, right? So they are represented, again, you can either have homogeneous and or heterogeneous items. They are represented using brackets.
Parenthesis.
Okay, parenthesis. Okay. This is a tuple, right? Now if I do a x of 0 is equal to world, this is not allowed. Okay, if you run this program now, it says tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, so tuples are immutable, but otherwise it is the same as list. Any doubt so far in lists and tuples?
Sir, can we append to a tuple? No, right?
No, you cannot.
Okay, sir.
Say for example, shall we try appending to a tuple? Say how many elements are here, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So let us do a 8th element, right? And do a Python, right? You cannot do that. Got it? Okay. Now let me just show you one more thing. If I say x of -1 or say print x of -1, what do you think the output will be, guys?
2. Error. I don't know.
Error.
10,
Somebody said 10, somebody said 2,
2, sir. It starts from the last.
It
Last,
starts
yeah.
from, it
Last
starts
element.
from the last, right? So
It's yours mixing, right?
right. So what will be minus 2?
10.
Okay. 2. Is it 2 or 10?
Minus 2 is 10. Minus 1 is
Minus 2
2.
is 10. Yeah, so you can make use of a referencing this way also, right? So minus 1 from the last, right? 0 from the beginning. Both for lists and tuples. So far, okay, guys?